Well, good evening, everyone. I'm glad you could come, and it's an absolute honor to be the featured author at the very first ever Writers' Night Out hosted by Rochester Writers. Great job, Michael Dwyer. Sonia. So my debut novel is The Tempest in Glass, a little book that ended up being a bit of an epic. And what I thought I would do is read about a 3-minute excerpt from one of the chapters, and then I'll share a little bit with you about how I decided to print an indie published a limited first edition, and why I decided to do that. So a little bit of context. I described the book as an adventurous mystery thriller with a spiritual edge. That's kind of what it's come down to after all the feedback I've gotten from readers, beta readers, etc. And it's pretty broad reaching, and I'm going to read from a chapter fairly deep into the second half of the book. And again, a little bit of context. The scene takes place on the other side, in other words, the afterworlds, because they start out on Earth, and it turns out that in their mission they have to travel to the other side to accomplish their mission. And the characters in this particular scene are two of the feature characters. Marvin Fisher is an intelligence officer who was swept into this uncanny spiritual adventure, doesn't know what he's doing. The other character is Dr. Amina Karimova, who is the professor of religious studies at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. So she is an integral part in helping Marvin reach his goal. So this departs a little bit from the adventure aspect and dives into a little bit more of the subplot, which is the romance aspect. So this is from chapter 56, a chapter called The Oldest Story in the World. Amina emerged from tunnel number 32, the women's side, after having changed back into her dry jumpsuit. She had tied her hair back up, retained the winged gold hoop earrings that were her constant companions, and had applied a conservative amount of the women's unusual makeup to make her eyes bloom and her cheeks shine. The elegance of her blouses and slacks were missed, but Amina was grateful to get out of the turquoise sari and return to the practicality of the sporty jumpsuit. She presumed there would be more walking and trekking ahead, as they would soon depart for their journey to connect with Gilgamesh the Wise. As Amina strolled into the pool cavern, she noticed Marvin across the way, goggling at the group around the prayer censer. Amina smiled to herself. There he was again, back in his suit, deep in thought, probably trying to figure out what was going on. Amina found herself swept with pleasant feelings of fondness for the man. While her heart lifted at the prospect of bonding, she feared landing in a position once again of wanting, only to fail in the end. She'd grown tired of losing, but she determined this time not to let her apprehension deter her. She would at least practice on Marvin and see where it went. If he was receptive, perhaps something magical would happen, and a romance would finally sparkle to life in her lovesick world. She pretended not to care as she sauntered in his direction. Marvin, hands behind his back, turned from the scene at the prayer censer to face Amina as she approached. "How are the sports duds?" he asked. "Clean and dry," Amina smiled, brushing aside the bangs from her face. "The suit?" "Stiff," Marvin grumbled. "I think it shrunk a little." "Well," Amina tried for a compliment, "your handsome look remains fully intact." Marvin smiled. "Thank you, young lady. So hey, we're supposed to meet up with Topaz and his guys in tunnel number 23. Tony's already there. I guess there's food." "Splendid," said Amina. "My body is in need of sustenance." She was disappointed how quickly he had dropped her attempt at flirtation. No comment on the fresh makeup, not even a wisecrack. She was already failing. "We're also going to plan for the trip to Gilgamesh," Marvin continued. "What can you tell me about this guy? He any good?" Amina's eyes flickered to the necktie around Marvin's neck. The tie was still dreadfully stained. It had been ruined further by the water. It was a shriveled silken mess that Marvin refused to let go of. He no longer needed it, and he was being inanely stubborn about it. Why? Amina was aching to know the story behind the tie, if there was a woman involved, and if there was anything of substance behind the relationship. She pushed aside her thoughts to answer his question. "Why don't I tell you about Gilgamesh while we walk through tunnel 23? "Splendid. Shall we go?" Marvin said playfully, imitating Amina's vocabulary and polished demeanor. He held out his elbow for her. She took it and smiled. Why, thank you, sir. Perhaps the man was fond of her after all. Thank you. So, thank you. So the idea for The Tempest in Glass began in 2008. I did about 6 months of research, put it in a drawer for about 10 years, and came back to it about 5 years ago, 4.5, 5 years ago. And yeah, it's true. But when I came back to it, I dove into it headlong and worked on it nearly constantly. My goal for the book from the get-go, even though there are a lot of faith elements in it, was to write it for the general market. So it is this blend of eclectic theology drawing from many different sources: Christianity, mythology, archaeology, astronomy, spiritualism, because I wanted it to appeal to the universal themes that many of us confront. What's out there? What do I believe? What's true? What's not? Is any of it true? So with that goal in mind, I wrote it for the general market, went through a beta phase when I had already done 50 revisions of the manuscript myself. Then I gave it to beta readers, got some feedback, which was extremely helpful, tweaked it again, and then I had the opportunity to participate in the Michigan Authors Writers Workshop Conference last April. And I had the opportunity to pitch the novel to 3 literary agents. And they all said it was a great pitch, and one of them said, yeah, send me the first 3 chapters. So, of course, gladly, I sent her the first 3 chapters, and I was thinking, wow, right out of the gate, I've already got a request from a prominent agent? Awesome! So I sent her the first 3 chapters, and by the way, I had created a 1-minute video teaser for the thing, which I linked her to. And so a few weeks went by, and she said, send me the full manuscript, and if anybody else comes to you, talk to me first. So I was like, whoa, this is incredible. She said, this is one of the most unusual manuscripts I've ever read. So that was after she read the whole thing. And the thing that tripped it up was she said, I'm not sure how to market this thing, because I'm not sure the general market would be interested in Marvin's faith journey. So, of course, I was really bummed. So time went on. I continued to revise the manuscript. I went through another phase of beta. I chopped another 7,000 words from the book, tightened it up, and made it, I think, much better than the one that even she had read. So in the meantime, people in my circles of influence were asking, because they knew I was writing this book, hey, Dirk, how's the book coming? When can I get it? Is it going to be out by Christmas? Where can I buy it? So I'm like, okay, if I am lucky enough to get a literary agent, then she's got to sell it to a publisher or an editor. Then it goes through another round of revision, another round of editing, cover design, reviews, marketing plan. That could be 2 years. So in the meantime, I'm losing sales. So I decided I'm going to do something a little bit unconventional. I'm going to print a limited first edition through my own LLC, Esper Jocelyn Publications, so that I can at least satisfy the buyers who want to buy it right now. So I did that. I hired an interior formatter to help me with the formatting. I designed my own cover as best I could, printed 100 copies, and started selling them to those who were asking about it. And the great thing, the side benefit of doing this, I now realize, was I've had the opportunity to send it out to professional reviewers. And it's gotten really good reviews. I'm just blown away. 4- and 5-star reviews. Readers are responding very powerfully to it. And so it's given me an opportunity to get more testimonials, more feedback. So in the meantime, I hired a marketing coach, and she was extremely beneficial. I'm still working with her in helping me get my website up to snuff, because she's got years of experience with this stuff. She's a whiz with this stuff, because I'm a dunce when it comes to marketing. So she helped me with my website. She gave me some ideas of what I can do, and she also suggested, Dirk, you should have an author interview. Who is Dirk? Why did he write the book? What does he do when he's not writing? So I said, great idea. So last week, in fact, in Grand Rapids, we shot on location for an author interview that was quite in-depth. And I'm cutting a 1.5-minute teaser for it right now, and the full interview will be released in the weeks to come. But my hope is, my marketing coach and I are going to very carefully strategize on positioning me, now armed with some great reviews, armed with great reader feedback, and armed with an in-depth interview, professionally done. We're going to go back to that first agent who came this close to signing me a year ago and say, look at the traction I've got. Would you like to take another look? And of course, my hope is that she'll say, yeah, Dirk, send it over. It sounds good. So maybe I'll have a second shot with this agent. If not, well, I'm already well on my way in the indie path. So if she turns it down, I'll continue to research other agents, kind of back to square one, but that's the way it goes. Because I still would like to shoot for the traditional publishing. But in the meantime, I've got this for anybody who's interested. So that's kind of my story. I think I included just about everything I wanted to say. So yeah, I do have the book here if you're interested. If you have any questions or would like to talk later, I'll be here, for the museum tour. We can talk there. If you want to email me, just grab one of my postcards. You can sign up for my e-newsletter, by the way, so you can, if you're interested in keeping track of how things are going. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening, and I look forward to meeting more of you. Thank you.